you bought a townhome in Atlanta in the last couple years, there is a very strong chance it's worth less today than what you paid for it. Across the 4 core metro counties in Atlanta, so I'm talking about DeKalb, Fulton, Gwinnett, and Cobb, there are over 2,600 active townhome listings right now. More competition than sellers have ever faced. And I've got clients who bought a townhome a couple years ago. Great location, well-kept building, great community, and their HOA just hit them with a $7,400 special assessment for new roofs and building maintenance. These are fees that catch a lot of people by surprise. And get this, townhomes that used to sell in under 2 weeks are currently sitting for months. You add rising HOA fees and rental restrictions that can trap you the moment your plans change. And you're holding a property that's harder to sell, harder to rent, and more expensive than you ever expected. Today, I'm breaking down what's really behind these numbers, and get this, because I still think townhomes can be one of the smartest buys right now. I just want you to know exactly what to check before you write an offer. 2 years ago, the median townhome sold in about 11 days. So meaning from the time it went on the market to the time it got a contract on it that ultimately closed was about 11 days. Today, it's over 30 days. I'm seeing more and more listings sit for 60, 90 days or longer without a showing. And this isn't one pocket of town. It's honestly everywhere, inside the perimeter and out. And when they do sell, plenty are closing for close to, or a lot of times less than what a seller paid a couple years ago. So why is this happening? Well, one, we all know rates are squeezing the exact buyer who used to see a townhome as their entry point into home ownership. New construction is competing with resale too. Builders are offering insane incentives right now. Rate buy downs, and I've seen them at like 4 and 5%. Closing cost credits that individual sellers just can't match. So buyers end up comparing a brand new home and the incentives against a resale townhome. And guess what? Most people are taking the single family home. And buyers just overall are asking a lot more questions about the HOA before they will ever write an offer, and you should. A lot of owners think, well, if I can't sell it, I'll rent it and I'll at least cover the mortgage. And here's the thing, plenty of townhome communities cap how many units can be leased. And once that cap is full, you're on a wait list, sometimes for years. And I will just tell you, in my experience, trying to get your name to come up on a list to match exactly when life happens and you have to move is extremely difficult. And some communities don't allow rentals at all. So it's just one of those things you have to know getting into these. And even when you can find a townhome where renting is allowed, or let's say your name comes up on the list, here's the math that no one runs first. Rent gets set by what the market will pay for that unit, not what you paid, and certainly not your mortgage. You add your mortgage and your HOA fee together, and then you compare it to a realistic rent for your home, and there's almost always a gap. Whether it's $100, $200, $500, whatever that gap is, you would have to cover that every month. So you're basically paying someone to rent out your home. So the saying of, oh, I'll just rent it out, isn't the safety net people always think it is. Speaking of the HOA fee, let's talk about it. Across Atlanta, townhome HOA dues typically run anywhere from about $300 to $700 a month. I will tell you, they're usually a little cheaper than condo HOAs. But here's the thing, they don't stay flat. Insurance, landscaping, maintenance all cost more than they did 2 or 3 years ago, and owners eat the difference. I've watched dues jump from $150 to $200 a month in communities that hadn't raised them in years because the community finally had to. If rising fees aren't enough, Here's the special assessment. An extra bill when a major expense outruns the community's reserves. So new roof, new siding, retaining wall, structural repair, if the parking lot needs to be repaved. All of that falls back onto the homeowners. And my clients that bought a townhome a couple years ago, so right now the HOA is replacing the roofs and they're doing community building-wide maintenance, and the reserves just didn't cover all of it. So that's where that $7,400 special assessment came in. And here's the thing, you can usually opt to pay it over time, or you can do it as a lump sum. For them, they opted to pay monthly, so it raised their dues from $235 a month to $435 because they pay the special assessment and a little over $200 for 36 months. But either way, even if you sell your townhome, those dues will follow you. I will tell you, in my experience, most buyers want special assessments paid off at closing. And when you're buying a townhome, you're not just buying a house, you're buying into a set of rules you don't write. So even after all of that, I would still buy a townhome before a condo. You share fewer walls, there's a little more space, financing is more straightforward, and you're dealing with a smaller HOA instead of a high-rise association. Appraisers and lenders tend to treat townhomes more like single-family homes than a condo, which is part of why financing and resale hold up a little bit better than a condo. None of this means you should avoid a townhome. It just means go in with your eyes wide open. This market isn't just all risk. For me, I look at it as a real opportunity. With 2,600 plus townhome listings right now on the market and sellers not getting the offers they expected, buyers have serious room to negotiate. Ask for repairs. Get your closing costs covered. Those repairs that show up on an inspection report, get those things fixed. Some of the best townhome deals I've seen in years are happening right now because the market handed buyers the leverage back. For the right buyer, for me, it's still one of the smartest ways into a part of Atlanta where a single family home would have probably priced you out of. But I'd never buy one or tell a client to planning to sell one in 2 or 3 years. Early in a mortgage, you're not building much equity through your payments alone. Move faster than planned and you could end up with a lot less than expected, end up upside down in your townhome, meaning you have to bring money to the closing table just to get out of it. If you are thinking about buying a townhome, here's exactly what I would check before you write an offer. Number 1, the HOA reserves and budget, not the monthly fee, what the community actually has saved. A healthy association generally keeps reserves covering at least 10% of its annual budget. Anything below that is a red flag and really a sign that a special assessment is down the road. Number 2, have your agent request the board meeting minutes, at least the last 6 months. Minutes are the written record of what the board discussed and voted on. A special assessment being talked about before it's official, community improvements being planned, a fee increase already on the table. It's the one document that tells you what's coming before anyone tells you outright. Number 3, check the rental restrictions. Even if renting isn't the plan today, you just want to know what your options are or if you have any besides having to sell if something happens and your life changes. Number 4, how often have fees increased and why? Have they seen 3 or 4 increases in the last 3 or 4 years? Has it been 10 years since the last increase? 5, try your best to have a clear-eyed timeline. Plan to stay a while, not just a couple of years. Now listen, I understand we don't always know what's happening tomorrow or what's going to happen in life. I just don't want you to actively go into a townhome thinking, Yeah, this is going to be my 2 or 3 year plan. Don't do that. I want you to plan for at least 5 to 7+ years. Okay. Number 6, how many owners are behind on their dues? A high delinquency rate means the rest of the community is quietly covering the gap. And it's often the first sign a fee increase or a special assessment is already on its way. Number 7, see if your agent can find out how responsive the management company is, whether repairs get handled quickly, and whether they'd buy in that community again or tell their friends or family to buy in that community. That conversation tells you things that no document ever will. Townhomes aren't broken, and buyers who do the work are still finding good deals in this market. If you would like to connect with me, my information is in the description below. And guess what? Speaking of HOAs, Georgia just passed major HOA laws, and I'm covering that in the next video. I will see you over there.